Hello. Welcome to Conversations with Cheryl Weston. Tonight, we're going to have kind of a different show. We're going to try something different, and we're always open to your feedback. We want to improve our show. So we hope that you enjoy it. And also hit that subscribe button because we're on a mission. We need to get to 100. You know, that doesn't seem like much to some, but we are just a little baby taking baby steps, and we need to be 100. Our goal is in the next 30 days. So I'm asking everyone, if you enjoy, hit the subscribe button. And more than just that is, if you don't hit that subscribe button, you might miss out on some very important topics and shows that we're going to have, because we've got a lineup, particularly with with this being the politics year, elections and so forth. We're looking at the different legislative bills that are working on down in the legislature. We're looking at different individuals, like we did a little comparison about why do we need a change in the second district, or do we need a change? Things like that. So those are just little teasers we're going to give you. But tonight we want to make it be, if you remember, I did a show on North Omaha just can't get a break. Well, this is the update to that, and it's based upon the update because Jeremy Turley of the Flatwater Free Press did an interview with Jean Stothert and some of her stooges and other individuals that were involved with the uh, Jean Stothert and Councilwoman Johnson, their episodes. And so what I had said when I did mine was that it was North Omaha who was affected, not just them. And much of what I said came to pass in the interviews. So let's take a look, and hopefully I will get to bring this up. Here we go. Open it up and see what we get. And there we go. North Omaha just can't seem to get a break. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, let's move on to here. As I said, this was done by Jeremy Turley, Flatwater Free Press. And I just want to throw out kudos to the job that Jeremy has been doing in his reporting. He's new to Omaha, but you'd never know it by his investigative things that he's been doing, making the stories that he's done, the series on the OHA, and now this. So let's just jump in right away. And I'm taking little excerpts from Jeremy's article, March 1st. According to Jean Stothert, this has everything, and she's referring to the letter and her steps that she took. This has everything to do with her treatment of city employees and city staff and city directors, Stothert said, noting several other previous occasions when Johnson tangled with employees of the city legal team and Parks Department. So it all, as you remember, came out during an episode which was at the City Council, and I'm not going into all of that. But remember, this is Mayor Jean Stothert. The letter was to protect the city employees from this abusive treatment. And who should know what abusive verbal treatment is more than Jean Stothert? I felt like the fewer, that meaning fewer who were involved in the presence of Miss Johnson, would be the less chance she has to act out. Stothert said this. This is what she's saying about a grown individual, an adult. And when you talk the less chance she has to act out, that is like you're talking to your child. Well, guess what, Stothert? Councilwoman Johnson's not your child. So she went on to say, it's Festerson's responsibility. Da 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 da. Does that bring to you any mind? I believe I said that was his duty, his responsibility. Festerson's responsibility as council president to maintain decorum when discussions become hostile, she said. It is not her job to address Johnson's inappropriate behavior behind closed doors. When asked if she would meet privately with the councilwoman, Stothert said she would in the presence of someone. When do you ever meet with Jean Stothert without one of her stooges or sidekicks being there? And the way she says that, she would in the presence of someone. You're instigating a lot of this behavior, Stothert, and you know it. You know which bells to press. So, moving on, because I don't want to give this too much more time. There's more important issues that we need to talk about. And one of them, Rodney Johnson, he was interviewed by Jeremy, which is no relations to Councilwoman Johnson, posed a question Wiesen, who is from the legal department, wouldn't address. And supposedly the reason why he wouldn't address this question was because legal has told Miss Johnson they would discuss it in a confidential manner because the city is in litigations with Mr. Johnson, who is suing the city for failing to properly consider his North Omaha-based business when awarding a city contract. And I got some more information on that we're going to get into a little bit later. But let's move along here. Thomas Warren, the mayor's chief of staff, points the finger, because see, that's what you do to children. You point the finger in the opposite direction, saying that since Johnson won a seat on the council, she hasn't made an effort to establish a relationship built on trust and mutual respect with Stothert's administration. I have to go back over this point. She hasn't made an effort to establish a relationship built on trust and mutual respect with Stothert's Warren, Thomas Warren, get this. You're an adult. Trust and respect is a two-way. What trust and mutual respect do you give your staff with the mayor? Where is that going? Where do you two have that? Do you give out mutual trust and respect? Nope. Stoffert's administration is my way or no way. And they all know it downtown. So, I mean, this was just like, are you kidding? Do you think people who know what goes on down in that city building, do you think they believe this crap? And then here again, you're talking about build a relationship. Well, where are you guys trying to build? Where is Stothert's administration trying to build this trust and mutual respect? So I want to move along to my next slide. When asked whether her exchange with Johnson is impeding Omaha's progress, Stothert pointed to a handful of recent downtown development projects. Because if you remember, when I spoke about who was getting lost in this whole thing between these two, I said it's North Omaha. They're getting the short end of the stick. So Stothert points out, look at all my recent downtown development projects. Let me do this. Downtown development projects. How does that benefit North Omaha? Because North Omaha is you got to go north of Cummings before you get into North Omaha, what's considered North Omaha. These projects, Kiewit, Steelhouse, all moving forward under her administration. You're right. They are moving forward for NODO, North Downtown, but they're not moving forward for North Omaha. Who benefited from that? Jeremy, you want to know? Go out and ask some people in North Omaha and see if they felt that this administration was moving forward on their behalf. I'd be interesting to see what you get there. Then a spokesman later supplied Jeremy with a list of projects completed or underway in North Omaha. Now let's take a look at this, folks. North Omaha, what do they get? Habitat for Humanity, housing development. And who does that benefit? Well, if you want to take a look, let's see who's getting those houses in North Omaha underneath Habitat for Humanity. Is it the people who live there, or is it refugees? Is it the immigrants, or is it the people who have lived in the area who want to move up? Take a look. And then she says the revitalization of the former Spencer Homes neighborhood. I don't think you want to talk about that, Stothert. Not when you wasted your administration, along with the Omaha Housing Authority, allowed the Spencer projects on the east side to stay and be until just recently were torn down, only after it was brought and made public. So this is what you call, oh, North Omaha, I'm not leaving you out. I'm giving you the crumbs. I'm giving you the Habitat for Humanity. And eventually I'm going to be taking care of you at the Spencer Homes neighborhood projects, all with, and there's a story for you, Jeremy, Spencer Home problems projects with 75 North. You want to do some investigating? You need to take a look at that one. So I want to move on to our next, because like I said, I don't want to give this woman too much of my time here. He interviewed Ben Gray. Now, this is where, folks, I'm telling you, I had this, I read it a couple of times because I had to sit and laugh. I laughed so hard the first time that I couldn't get through it all. But here's what Ben Gray, who was on the council for 12 years, had the audacity. Well, let's take a look at it. Ben Gray on the council for 12 years during North Omaha's biggest and most devastating decline. That's right, folks. We lost the most during his time on the city council. Gray, the former councilman who has long had an oppositional relationship with Johnson, said that the idea that Stothert came down harshly on Johnson because of her race is nonsense. Well, who cares about what Ben Gray has to say when we all know, Ben, we know what your relationship is. We know. People run to that race factor when they have nothing else that they can point to, Gray. Well, was it a race factor, Gray, when you called Miss Johnson out of her name? When you were sitting down there at the city council meeting, was that a race issue? What do you call that? Disrespectful action. Gray said he and the mayor had a productive working relationship and often met several times a month to talk politics. No, you didn't meet to talk politics. What you meant when you met, you were met so that you could get your marching orders. And you didn't let her down. You followed them. The two didn't always agree, but their collaboration helped to establish the municipal land bank. You are so right, Gray, that municipal land bank, where you allowed and instigated the taking of North Omaha property. And I got a show coming up on the municipal land bank. It's called The Hypocrisy of the Land Bank. And North Omaha Job Center and other progress, he said. Who benefited that? If you go North Omaha Job Center, go up to the Heartland, I think that's what they call it, up off of 52nd, the treasurer's office. And you tell me, Mr. Gray, how many North Omahans did you get jobs up there? When you walk in there to get your license, and this is located in North Omaha, how many black and brown faces do you see? Miss Johnson is part of a wave of newly elected politicians that doesn't understand how to And let me see if I can get this up here a little bit more. Oops, went too far. Let's get back here. How to be effective in government. Well, how effective were you when you sold out North Omaha? Tell us, Ben Gray, you know how to do it. And you have the audacity to sit up and complain about, well, but I forgot. I forgot. You're part of that administration. You're one of the stooges. So Johnson is part of a wave of elected officials that doesn't understand how to be effective in government. Nope, I guess she just doesn't understand how you kiss up to someone and allow your community that you are supposed to be representing to be so down the river. And that's exactly what you did. I want to make sure that people read this again. Ben Gray was on the council during North Omaha's biggest and most devastating decline. I remember on that municipal land bank when you, Ben Gray, went out of town and brought this ideal back and all of this, and you take so much credit for it. I remember people, and a lot of people who may not have been around then, but Dr. Bobby Davis, I can remember her saying, the Omaha Municipal Land Bank is not good for North Omaha. But who would say anything to Ben Gray as he walked around at Prince? Oh, I know he's not going to like this, but I don't really care. Okay. And so I want to move on to my next little slide. And I talk again about when asked whether exchanges with Johnson is impending progress. You know, she went on to say all this malarkey about that. Ben Gray, all her stooges, Ben Gray, Warren, oh my goodness. And where are you, Keith Station? Because you're one of them, supposed to be there. What do you have to say? Nothing. Well, I want to go back to one of these slides here, right here. Rodney Johnson, no relation to Councilwoman Juanita Johnson, is suing the city, alleging that it failed to properly consider his North Omaha-based business when awarding a city contract. Well, let me tell you, that's true, folks. That's true. Because what is going to happen on March 5th, City Council agenda, there were six or seven, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 contracts were going to be on the consent agenda, which means if they put them in this consent agenda, then it only takes one vote because they put all these together that they don't really want you to know too much about or ask questions. So they put them on there, one vote, and they're all passed. But guess what? Some people, moi, we do read the city council agenda. So I happen to be reading that, and I'm like, whoa, look at this, will you? 6 contracts are going to be on this agenda, consent agenda. They are for the lead cleanup education to help with the lead cleanup contamination efforts through the Omaha Lead Superfund Site. Folks, I remember that. I was hoping that was all done with back when we began. And I say we, myself and others who were fighting to be able to protect our children from the damages of being in a lead contaminated site by a circle. And we went over that and over that. And one of the things that I fought so hard for was to make sure that people from that affected area, they were the ones who were going to have some kind of economic benefit. They were the ones that should have the jobs. They are the ones that should be able to do the education. They are the ones, because they're the ones that have to learn and be able to take care of themselves, their children. So Thought that was a battle that was over with, but here it comes rearing its ugly head again. In February of 2024, the City of Omaha received $34.3 million to help with lead cleanup efforts for lead contamination at the Omaha Lead Superfund Site. The EPA and HUB awarded the City of Omaha that $34.3 million to help efforts. So what was this supposed to be? This was supposed to be, they had a mechanism in there for education. And they were supposed to be getting these city contracts out. And I want you to take a look at this. And I'm hoping, let's see if we can make this a little bigger. There we go. Here are 6 of the contracts that were thrown into the city council agenda underneath consent agenda part. Look at this: KETV, WLW-TV, Summit, Sinclair, Hearst Media, Flood Communications, a total of $167,640.50. And I had a simple question here. And this goes back to what Mr. Johnson was suing the city for, because they don't look for North Omaha or Black and Brown contracts. Oh, they'll come out and say, well, we got tier 1, tier 2 program. And who was behind the tier 1, tier program and tier 2? And I tried to tell contractors, hey, it's not going to be for your benefit. Ben Gray, that all happened underneath his so-called leadership, his so-called knowledge of how to handle government, how to be not part of that elected politicians that don't understand how to be effective. Well, he was definitely effective in selling North Omaha down the drain. And oh, I'm sure he's going to have some comments about it, but I still don't care. Because when the truth, you know, what's that old saying? The truth will set you free. That's the reason why I stand behind the truth and the facts. Now, folks, when we go and look at this, you see this 39,000, 29,100, 22,000, 25. Guess what? You know the only reasons we know about this? Because anything over $20,000 has to go before the city council. If it hadn't been over $20,000, we would have never known these contracts went out. Simple question. Why are there no media outlet contracts being offered to any of the urban media outlets for the lead education outreach campaign for the Omaha Lead Education Superfund Site, the remediation program? Because here, let's look. The zip code 68104, 107, 08, 10, and 11. What efforts were made to reach out to media outlets like First Sky Omaha or 25.7 The Boss, Untamed LLC, or the League of Union Latin American Citizens, LULAC, or the Star, Omaha Star? None of those. You don't see those there, okay? So this is what they came back with here. And I also asked them in my letter, the purpose of the Omaha Human Relations and Rights and Relations, their purpose, their mission is supposed to be the Omaha Department of Human Rights and Relations is to advance economic opportunity and promote equity for all Omaha residents through engagement, small business development, restorative justice, and investigation. So if this is the purpose of the Omaha Department of Human Relations, why don't I see any of First Sky Omaha, 95.7 The Boss, Untamed LLC, or LULAC, Omaha Star? Why don't I see any of them there? And why did you go back to it, folks? The only reason that we even knew about it was because it was over, each of those contracts was over $20,000. And then I want to go back over here because, okay, here's the response that I got. Miss Weston, the lead office has made a considerable effort to expand advertising outlets in the 2024 lead information outreach campaign. In doing so, the lead information office has taken into consideration the reach of individual media outlets, including various products and delivery methods. It is our goal to maximize the limited outreach budget. I knew they're going to throw this in here. See, the only reason we could go with those folks was because of the budget and the money. But you could go 39,000, but you don't have any of the people that I mentioned, any of the urban media. So it is our goal to maximize the limited outreach budget provided under cooperative agreement with the EPA to reach the maximum number of residents within the Omaha lead site. In addition to the 6 contracts, the City Council agenda for approval, which you referenced in your letter, we have 6 additional contracts with The Boss, KMTV, Mundo Latino Newspaper, NRG, Omaha Star Newspaper, and Omaha World Herald. I contacted The Boss and I contacted the Omaha Star Newspaper and I asked them, do you have contracts? And guess what the answer was? No. They didn't even know about this. The Boss said they had a contract back 2 years ago and it was only for $1,000. These contracts, as Miss Johnson, not related to Juanita Johnson, these contracts, which we are finalizing now, are not on the City Council agenda for approval because they do not exceed $20,000 requiring City Council approval. What did I tell you, folks? The only reason why we knew about those others? So what you're telling me is all of these other 6 people contracts, they go to people who are not the urban media, but they're more than $20,000. So the little crumbs, the little chunk change you're going to get is for the urban media is going to be underneath that $20,000. Come on. Miss Johnson from the City Planning Department, let's see here. These contracts, which we are finalizing now, well, if you're finalizing them now, and you already let these people know they do not exceed the $20,000. So guess what? The Boss, Omaha Star, hey, your contracts is going to be chump change. Because you ain't getting more than $20,000. But you may do some of the more work and you're going to reach the people because the people who are in the Superfund site, guess what? That's where they get their news from. Omaha Star, The Boss, First Sky, Untamed LLC. That's where they get their information. They're not going to be looking at KETV at 2:00 in the morning or during the Jimmy Kimmel show or watching the Three Stooges. They're not. And that's when the time period that KETV is saying we're going to have these educational stuff, we're going to have them on at that time. We have done preliminary research in the other outlets that you mentioned and are having trouble locating contact information, with the exception of The Boss, which we do have contract with. Well, somebody didn't get it because The Boss said he didn't get that memo. He didn't get a contract. He's not hard to reach. I know the Omaha Star is not hard to reach, so where's their contract? If you would be willing to share the contract information, ours or yours, with them, we would look into the opportunity. You're going to look into it, but let's go back up here. You're going to look into the opportunity of contracting them, but up here, you said these contracts, which we are now finalizing, do not have to have City Council. You can't finalize something if you haven't even been looking into it. And then she went on. In addition to these paid media ads, the lead information office will continue to participate in organizations and events with the Omaha lead site. The Human Rights and Relations Department reviewed the 6 City Council agenda items to ensure the businesses have complied with civil rights compliance requirements under the OMC 10-194, which is very simple. It's one little sheet of paper and it's got about 6 boxes. You fill it out, check it out, boop, they're done. That is the limited scope of that department. But yet and still, if these contracts that are going to be led in our city council, man, that city council, we all know, is so weak, they're not going to buck anything that Gene Stothert put before them. Well, I think they might have a record of maybe I say 3%. That's a little high. 3%. Otherwise, they got a 97% record of approving anything and everything that comes across them to them. So I want to go back to me. I want to go back to this. Oh, North Omaha Steel, they can't get a break. You're going to sit up here and tell us this bull crap, and we're looking at it, and we contacted people. It is, you know why? It's because we have an administration that does not care about North Omaha. And all this great stuff that's supposed to be done for North Omaha, bullcrap. That's for North Doe. No Doe, they call that. That's at North Omaha. Downtown. That's what that is. It's not North Omaha. It's not East Omaha. You see what they're going to do about that. They're going to put in the North Omaha Business Park without any consideration for the people in there. So I just wanted to bring that up again, and I don't want to talk about it again. So I'm done with Gene Stothert and Councilwoman Johnson, but I want the people to know, and maybe if we could get some people to voice, because you folks, you have power in your voice. You have power in knowledge. That's how come they don't want to let you know what's going on. But through shows like mine and others, I'm not afraid to have to talk with or interview with anybody. If you think that what I'm saying is not true and you can prove when my facts already show you the truth, come on, bring it on. Let's do it. I don't care about other media, but what I like to see is those other media outlets, they get a chance at this. So I brought it to you. Now, what you do with it, that's on you. I can't do it all. Well, that's what I wanted to make sure we covered tonight. So with that said, have a great evening, and don't forget, hit the button, hit the subscribe button. Help me get to that 100 within the 30 days. So come on, folks. And if you have any suggestions for shows, send them over, because we look for new things to cover. So have a great evening. And again, thank you for tuning in.